Sammy here eating his peanut butter. And no, I'm not right beside him. It just sounds like that. I'm sorry. I hope everybody's well. So I'm going to jump right in here. I didn't want this video to be too long. I say that every time, and I really do mean it. I won't ramble about other things, but I will say I should have edited, or I will edit this. I titled it yesterday, and I didn't go back there. I just trusted my memory, and that's kind of what happens. Is I forgot to put Daniel first, so I apologize. Anyone that's not interested in the biblical connection to this, give me about 5 minutes, and we will be connecting the other things, because I was going to do this as an upload, and the only reason I'm doing it as a live is because reading the information, the source information that I found about the Hopi prophecy is a little long, and I didn't want to tweak it too much. I didn't want to cut it up. I want to show you at least what else is there in that link. So if you've never read it, you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. So anyways, right now, today, what we're going to be talking about is how Daniel, specifically Daniel 12:4, because we take most things back to scripture, and that's kind of if I'm under a paradigm, that is the paradigm I'm kind of in. But I believe, it's my personal theory, that all ancient texts and all modern religions are connected, and they used to be one. They used to be at least more, there weren't so many denominations and all that type of thing. So we're going to be connecting Daniel 12:4, and I just found out about the Timewave Zero theory from Terrence McKenna. Now, I'm not really well read on Terrence McKenna. He is a modern day mystic. You could almost call him a theologian, but he's a little too hippified for that. He promoted cyclobin and psychedelics in regards to spiritual growth. So he had this theory called Timewave Zero, and I had never heard of it given a name or anything like that. But it sounds a lot like, and the same as almost retrocausality and Daniel. And the Hopi prophecy also really sounds like all of these together. So I really wanted to just show you guys this, and once again, point out the commonalities that we have in a variety of different cultures and a variety of different religions, but to also pull on that common thread, because I believe that's where we'll find the truth. When you see this thing time and time again showing up and showing up and showing up, you have to start giving it your attention. We don't have to, but it's probably folly to ignore it. So let's jump right in here. Daniel 12. Now, Daniel is a prophet of God. He was kept in a paganistic kingdom, right? He was under a pagan ruler. But back then, slaves were actually treated really well. He requested a diet of only vegetables. He was not going to eat meat, animals that were sacrificed to idols. People always pay attention, well, we don't sacrifice to idols anymore, but the point is he also wasn't eating animals. That's, we can't just pick words out of things that we like and say this is what this is. Just because we see the trunk of an elephant and we say, well, that's it, that's what an elephant is, because that's all we're seeing through the hole in the fence. There's still a great big iceberg under the water. So there's a few different analogies for you. And so he's a prophet from God. And, the problem I think that we have today is, even back then, pagans, if you look at the 9 circles, is it the 9 circles of hell by Dante's Inferno? Sorry about that. If you look at that, you'll see that pagans are closer to being out of that cycle than people who are just heathenistic and have no faith at all. Pagans are better than the heathen in as far as, well, God's word, and not just God's word, but throughout history. If you want to go by behaviors and you want to get into the psychology of it, that's a whole different branch. But Daniel is giving this prophecy, and this is something about the end days, and it's 12:04, but we'll start at 1 just so you have a little background. All right, 5 minutes in, let's jump in. But at that time, Michael the archangel, will rise up, the great leader who stands up for the sons of your people. I think they're actually referring to the angel Michael there, but don't quote me on that. We'll look at that as well in a minute. Hold, please. You guys got to be good. Lay down and be good. Go ahead, lay down and chew your chewy. Okay. But at that time, Michael will rise up, the great leader who stands up for the sons of your people. And a time will come, such as not been found, from the time that nations began. So this is a pretty epic time, right? Even since the beginning of civilization, not man. Civilization is different than man, right? Organized society is basically what a civilization is, a culture. And a time will come such as not been from the time that nations began, even until that time. And at that time, your people will be saved, all who will be found written in the book. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth will awaken, some to everlasting life, and others to a reproach that they will always see. So you can either have everlasting life or an everlasting reproach, which means enmity or rebuke, right? I don't want to necessarily say punishment, but consequence for your actions. But those who have taught will shine like the brightness of the firmament. Another reference to the firmament. And those who instruct many towards justice like the stars for unending eternity. And those who instruct many towards justice like the stars for unending eternity. So here we have a little prophecy, and this is the good, right? Here we have the good part of the end times prophecy here. But those who have taught will shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who instruct many towards justice like the stars for unending eternity. So that's good, right? This is a good prophecy for those who teach and shine with God's love and life and light, right? And those who teach about justice. There is a consequence for your action. There is cause and effect. But you, Daniel, close the book, or close the message and seal the book until the established time. So God is saying he's already predetermined this time. It will, shut it and it'll stay shut until then, no matter what. Many will pass through and knowledge will be increased. You as well, Dion, you as well. So this is the actual verse itself that Samson, do you have to be so... Hold, please. Are you quite through? Almost. Yeah, he's washing up after his peanut butter. I'm sorry. I'm really blessed. I don't deserve such a good friend. He's just so nice and he's so good. And he doesn't even, I've never seen him mad. I don't know what Sammy looks like mad. I wouldn't want to see it, but I've never seen it. But you, Daniel, close the message and seal the book until the established time. Many will pass through and knowledge will be increased. Okay, so let's real quickly, and again, this is not going to take forever. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. There is a way that's written that I want you to see. Are you going to show me the right one? In Job, when Lucifer is talking to God, he says, "Where have you been?" And he says, "I have been roaming the earth, going to and fro upon the earth." And it's interesting, they use the same reference here again in reference to knowledge. We will see knowledge be increased, and we have seen that. We have seen that with the advent of Apple and the bite in the Apple and Microsoft and IBM home computers for the everyday man. We are in that time now. Oh, sorry. And I, Daniel, looked and behold, similarly, 2 others stood up, one over here on the bank of the river, and the other over there on the other bank of the river. Could that be the Euphrates they're talking about? Let's highlight that for next time. Okay, so that's what I wanted you to see here. Mainly is 4, okay? Until the established time, many will pass through and knowledge will be increased. So now we're going to look at, please let me do this right, a few screenshots that I took just to save time so you guys don't have to scroll with me. That's one thing I like doing is the research with me so you see the process. Most of you know it at this point. And again, this is something we don't have to just waste time doing that on. So, Terrence McKenna, Timewave, Zero Theory. McKenna believed that events in history could be identified that would help him locate the Timewave end date. So basically what he's saying there is if we look back to something that happened in history, gee, I don't know, like Mandela's incarceration and or demise, okay? If we looked at maybe JFK's assassination, another big event in our time spiral, if you will. Sammy, you can't be so rough with her. She'll get hurt if you lick her too hard. You had your snack. Get out of here. Okay. So basically what he's saying is if you look back, what we've been doing on this channel talking about retrocausality, we've been looking backwards at events, trying to help us pinpoint, okay, what happens in the future? Because we're right now, oh, I wish I had a pen and I could do this for you. Picture a wave in your mind, all right? Like a wavelength, right? We're looking at a wave. Right now, we are in the middle. We are in the eye of the storm, I think. So if we're talking retrocausality, that a lot of the things we're seeing now, we don't know what they're the effects of. We don't know what really happened, where suddenly all these families disengaged and everybody seems different and everybody's like a doppelganger of their original self. And you just have a lot of strange happenings, right? And it just happened all of a sudden, we thought. So we're looking ahead to the future saying, okay, what happened? What butterfly effect? What ripple effect? What echoed backwards to us now and shook us so much, right? But if we look back, say, to an event that already happened, like JFK, or maybe when Israel became a nation. Now, here's the thing. People like Terrence McKenna, Joe Rogan, right? They're very anti-Bible. And they're anti-Bible before they've been exposed to actual biblical verses, right? I was the same way. I was very judgmental about what was in the book. I was very presumptuous, okay? And just very arrogant, right? And, when you get kind of stuck in atheism or agnosticism, you get a little arrogant because there is no other authority in your life except for you. There is no higher authority. So you don't have that. Excuse me, I gotta be there for my older dog. So that's what we're looking at, is a time in history. Now remember that in your mind. Remember what I said about Israel. Because someone like Terrence McKenna, he's not going to look at biblical prophecy, right? They dismiss it offhand. So remember that, though, because I am going to look at that, and I am going to tie these two way different paradigms together and show you that it's not one or the other. Oftentimes, we are all talking about and doing the same things. That's what you're seeing now. There's an increase of knowledge, but that doesn't mean there is no increase of truth. Truth doesn't change like that, okay? You can speak what is true, but what is true is always true from the foundation of the earth. Truth is God. God is truth. God is life. Life is God. Love is God. God is love. You see what I'm saying? So it gets very paradoxical when you start trying to talk about these things. But anyway, I want to take a lasso and kind of pull all of these things together and show you that it doesn't have to be one or the other. We are kind of all talking about the same things, and we're not seeing truth increase. We're basically regurgitating what's already out there, and we're all doing it for the purpose. We've monetized everything, right? We can't eat. We can't live if we don't earn money at this point. Money has become our God because that is how we feed ourselves. That is how we sustain ourselves. Follow me here because I'm not trying to insult you. Please remember I'm a part of this society too. So anything that I'm saying on this channel, almost always includes myself too, unless I'm doing like some report or something on an actual, I'm speaking about an actual news event that I know to be completely and utterly true. So he complicates it, right? He's never going to look at the biblical theory. He's not going to look to that to help him organize his thoughts when he's explaining this theory. So basically, he's thinking you could look at an event in the past, say when Israel became a nation, and by pinpointing that, you could then look forward and fit an attempt to find the best fit of the graph to the data field of human history. The last harmonic of the wave has a duration of 67.29 years. Now that's key. And he's also including what we've been including about sound, right? Follow me. The last harmonic of the wave has a duration of 67.29 years. So he's getting it really good. He has a really good idea here of certain things, but his theory gets a little complex and overcomplicated. And I'm going to simplify it for you because, again, it's very hard to explain. I'm trying to explain it in like a 15, 30-minute video, and it's a book. He wrote a book about this. Okay? When did Israel become a nation? May 14th, 1948. Okay? Now, if we count 67 years ahead, that's 2015, 2016, roughly. Between 2015 and 2016. I can say for personal verification, my life changed because my mother passed in 2015. I had no living parents left. And my life itself started to spiral out of control a little bit because of, the loss. Obviously, I didn't handle it well. Not everybody's like me. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying a lot of synchronicities and all that type of thing started to really amp up right before the eclipse. So if you count forward from here, it's roughly 67.29 years. Now, biblical scholars, the original biblical teachers, biblical fathers, have surmised that 70 years from when Israel became a nation. And again, we're not supposed to date set. Didn't CERN turn on in 2012? We looked at that yesterday. It actually turned on in, I think it was turned on in like 2008. But things went wrong with it. And so you have this period where it was shut down and then turned back on again. 2011, I think it was turned back on. It is interesting, right? So, Terrence McKenna had it almost right. He's 67.29 years. He theorized that the last harmonic of this wave was 67.29 years. And he's saying that in that time frame, it would help him locate the time wave end date. So what he's saying is basically like the Mayan prophecy. Now, this is what McKenna looked to. He didn't look to the Bible. He looked to the pagans. So he looked to Mayan prophecy, and he also looked to the Chinese, to the Asian calendar. I'm not quite sure why he did that. I didn't read the book, okay? So again, I'm not well read on him. The important thing is that he has the basics very close to what church fathers also say, okay? Follow me. In the Hopi teachings, we are told that toward the end of the world, Spider-Woman will come back and she will weave her web across the landscape. Everywhere you will see her web. That's how we will know we are coming to the end of this world, when we see her web everywhere. Hold, please. Again, keep everything we've looked at in the back of your mind, because what we're trying to do is take these like 4 boxes that are compartmentalized and under different paradigms and dump them out on the table and make something of them, okay? This was written in 2012, so I grabbed a screenshot of that. If we think about this prophecy, Spider-Woman will come back and she will weave her web across the landscape. That could also be a reference to the internet web, or it reminded me visually. I told you I'm a visual learner. My mind goes to visuals. What I saw in my mind was chemtrails. I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Yes, Spider-Woman. Yes, Spider-Woman. Exactly. If you like the content and you understand the verbiage I'm using and the analogies and how I'm pulling this together, please consider giving the video itself a thumbs up so I know if I need to like rephrase or go back to the drawing board. So that's what I thought of when I saw this. Now, here's another quick thing, and then we're going to look more in depth at what the Hopi say. Madam Web. Oh, yes, yes. And Madam Expiration Date. What do the Hopi believe about the afterlife? At death, the Hopi... Now, listen. This is key. This is why it's highlighted. And there's a reason I highlighted this. The Hopi's soul leaves the body through the mouth to continue its existence into another world. Stronghold. Yet another reason for masking. If you're a new spirit here, maybe not a new spirit, if you're an ancestor spirit and suddenly you're back on the earth and in a body, and you're not used to being in a body, would you maybe cover your mouth so your soul didn't escape your body once again? Follow me. There's also a belief, an ancient wives' tale, old wives' tale. You shouldn't have a cat if you have a newborn baby, because the cat would steal the baby's breath. What does that mean, steal the breath? God breathed into Adam and gave him life. He breathed into a golem, basically, for all intents and purposes, and gave it the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit of God. This also reminded me, this little clip here, of iPet Goat 2. And we've talked about the masks and the screenshots. I went over that. All right. So let's look at this a little more in depth. And remember, this is all based off of also is Daniel 4. Now, this goes further. There's more to this, okay? It continues. But we'll do that. Well, you know what? Let's look at it real quickly, and then we'll jump to the Hopi. So, many will pass through. Pass through what? Pass through what? Pass through. Many will pass through. Let's look at that real quick. I want to look at some. Many will go here and there. Yes, to and fro. Okay. I was like, pass through. That's interesting verbiage there because the Catholic Bible is older. Do I have my study Bible? I do. I should look through it real quick. And I, Daniel, looked and behold, similarly, two others. Yeah, that's a new word. I'm seeing it everywhere, and I've never seen it like this much before. So I might have to look at the study Bible just to see the words that are used. But we'll continue on. And I, Daniel, looked and behold, similarly, two others stood up, one over here on the bank of the river, and the other over there on the other bank of the river. Same river, two sides. Could they be talking about the Euphrates? Most people would say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it's the river. I'm going to say it's by the Hoover Dam, actually. Colorado River? Is that what that is? And I said to the man who was clothed in linen, who stood over the waters of the river, how long will it be until the end of these wonders? And I heard the man who was clothed in linen, who stood over the waters of the river when he had lifted his right hand and his left hand up to heaven, and had sworn by he who lives forever that it would be for a time. Now this is where people get kind of lost. It would be for a time and a half a time. So for a time and a half a time, modern biblical scholars surmise a time and a half of a time is tribulation, that's 7 years. And when the dispersion of the hand of the holy people is completed, all these things will be completed. Okay? And I heard and did not understand. And I said, my Lord, what will be after these things? And he said, go, Daniel, for the words are closed and sealed until the predetermined time. He's basically telling them, don't worry about it. Many will be chosen and purified. TIs, there you go, loves. This is all for you. Many will be chosen and purified. 7 years for each update to Temple OS. Yeah, but Temple OS was created after the Bible, so I'm sure Terry, configured that in that way purposely. That would be my guess. I don't know the man. I don't know his mind. Did not know the man. Many will be chosen and purified, and as if by fire they will be tested. And the impious will act impiously, and none of the impious will understand. Yet the teachers will understand. That is a very lovely sentiment, and I believe it is for true spiritually targeted individuals out there. But I hate that phrase because I kind of reject most labels these days. And from the time when the continual sacrifice will be taken away and the abomination of desolation will be set up. Continual sacrifice, I actually want to say that that's the Eucharist, and I did many videos on this, explaining this throughout the last 4 years of the first channel and this channel, and I'll probably go back to it. These are things, again, we're in kind of a time loop. These things kind of keep repeating, and I think it is so that everyone can be tested and everyone can be put, make their decisions and be put in their proper slots, and God is orderly and then judged. I keep going to that scene in Willy Wonka where Veruca Salt, she's singing, I want the world, I want the whole world, and she's a spoiled brat. She sits on the thing that judges the eggs of the geese that lay the chocolate eggs, and if it's a bad egg, they send it down the chute. And Veruca Salt gets judged as a bad egg, and she gets sent down the chute. But she's getting weighed. Follow me. That's an illustration visually used in that movie. That's an allusion to the scales of judgment, which we find in the Bible, which we find in Babylonianism. As much as they tell you that's wickedness, we find these similarities in all of these places. So let's go over to this lovely site that I found. I think we've went to it before, but if you look here up at the top, it's ancient origins, and you have Greek mythology, Norse mythology, ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, and ancient Mesopotamia. I think this is going to be a regular site that I'm going to use personally, and probably for the videos and stuff. Even if I get a laptop, I'll still, you have to have reference material. I'll still use images and all that stuff. Okay. So this is the part that I figured the video might get a little longer because of, so I wanted to touch base on it. Again, if you like the content, please consider giving the video a thumbs up. Hopi Prophecy and the Ends of the Fourth World, Part 1. Now, there are allegedly, I think, 5 ages, but we'll read it here real quick. And they surmise that we are in the 4th one. And in every age thus far, humanity has insisted on destroying itself. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We got to really stop blaming others. We have, at least in America, a whole society, everything you watch is nothing, even YouTube. As much as I prefer YouTube to cable television, I mean, it has turned into another streaming platform with actors. And personally, I liked it the way it was when it began. Just people sitting, talking to you from their living room. Not everything has to be super polished. I don't know anymore. I don't fit into, and it's not about fitting in, and I don't want to fit in. Maybe I used the wrong illusion there, but I don't fit with this current lifestyle that we're headed to. And sometimes people think, well, there are no other options. I have no options. I think that a lot in my own personal situation. But I want to show you. Again, I try to keep the channel and myself balanced these days. I want to show you there is oftentimes another option. The real is more Kardashians real now. Exactly. Reality television ruined our society, but more to the point, it ruined our sincerity and ability to be genuine with each other. The more you look in a mirror and practice your looks and practice smiling or a certain look, right? The more you do for some reason, the more you see yourself, the more it warps your perception. I don't know why that is. Either you end up hating yourself, thinking you're ugly, picking out all your flaws, or you end up a caricature of your own self. I told you yesterday, Elon Musk is basically Bruce Wayne. Elon Musk will be playing the part of Bruce Wayne in our current reality, according to the media reality. Now remember, this is a screen reality. You walk outside and your life oftentimes is different than what they show you. We need to remember that. But we spend so much time on the screens. That's how we interact with each other. A lot of us have been hurt and have a hard time trusting other people. I'm not judging you. I'm not saying whether this is good or bad. I'm just saying how it is. And I'm leading to what the Hopi had to say about this. More than any other tribe in North America, the Hopi Indians have developed according to the dictates and demands of what may be called a legacy of prophecy. The predictions of the life to come do not merely pertain to the Hopi themselves, but deal with the impending events on a global scale. These prophecies began to be made public shortly before the mid-20th century. Now, before that, allegedly, their culture works so that it is all word of mouth, it is all oral, nothing is written down. Wonder why that is. Christ didn't write anything down. When he did write, he wrote in the sand and blew it away. I keep going back to that. We think we're so cultured because we're literate and we do these things. You know that in the book of Enoch, it says that they were our teachers, right? It wasn't just war and makeup. If you're going to say that women are wicked for wearing makeup because it comes from the fallen angels, guess what else they taught us? They taught us how to read and write. So what does that mean? These are things that I keep going back to. This is why I know this content is important for us to look at altogether. These prophecies began to be made public shortly before the mid-20th century. The Hopi are an aggregation of clans that came together at the center point, Tuanasavi, in northern Arizona during the course of their migrations, because they were not a monolithic tribe. Mono, one, right? The sources of their prophecies are fragmentary and multifarious. Part of the lack of narrative clarity also has to do with the secretive nature of the Hopi. But they're not just secretive. They don't. It was all oral. A Hopi here, and you'll notice that on the caves, even Egyptians, follow me, where you had pharaohs who were allegedly the fallen ones, or their progeny, or themselves being resurrected over and over and over into different vessels and or containers. That's what they call the vessel, a container. Even in all those cultures, the ancient cultures that we now were more advanced than we are, they did not use words. They used images. They used pictures. Even crop circles, there are no words being used. Follow me. Language in the written form used to be pictures. Hieroglyphs, hieroglyphics, cave drawings. How many times have you looked at something and said, man, I wish they would have just wrote something down? Maybe then we could have translated it. Why didn't they? Why didn't they? There might be a very good reason for that. And I'm not saying, again, that everyone is a co-creator here, that everyone has the same abilities as everybody else, but we are seeing some very strange phenomena, and it does seem like movie scripts are entering our everyday real life for all intents and purposes, our reality. And it's happening over and over. These isolated sedentary farmers living in unpretentious pueblos, basically stone apartment buildings, on the high desert of the American Southwest, have looked into their future from their kivas, subterranean communal prayer chambers, prayer chambers, and have seen some rather disturbing scenarios. Many times they simply do not wish to share these visions with the outside world, considering the history of exploitation and genocide of Native Americans in general. This is understandable. Absolutely. There is nothing wrong. And again, I'm growing in my walk, so I may change my perspectives. That is as it should be. We should change in our walks, okay? But I am seeing that there is a reason for certain secrets. And let's eliminate that word. Let's call it reverence. There is no reverence anymore. Everybody either brags up their life on social media, telling you about every high point that they've had, to the point it makes everybody else feel low and insignificant, right? And that might not be their intention. I'm saying this happens. Or you have people, and I've done both. I'm guilty of all these things, okay? So I'm not eliminating myself from this equation. Or you have the folks who everything is bad, wicked, and negative. That's why I try to do this channel well balanced. But they give you too much of their private, personal lives, which should be sacred. Nothing is sacred anymore. Nobody has reverence anymore for their marriage. And again, I'm guilty of all these things. For their worship, for their prayer time, for their one-on-one time with loved ones. We've lost that reverence that we used to have. And I know this might not be the best video, and I know other younger people might not dig this video, okay? We want to see the train wrecks. We want to see the darkness. We love the darkness, all of us. It's inside of us. It is a part of us too. We cannot let these two parts of us spiral out of control so much that they literally tear our beings, our individual beings apart, and us as a people apart. We are on the precipice of either great violence reoccurring in Technicolor reality here, or we are on a time of epic spiritual and personal and mental evolution. I opt for the second. I opt for the latter. Thank you for the thumbs up. So again, briefly, Hopi cycles of time, like the Maya, and again, that's what Terrence went to for his Timewave zero theory, was the Mayan calendar that ended in 212. Terrence passed away, I think, in 2003. I might be wrong about this, but it's not important. He's not with us right now. He's went through the transition of death. I'm going to say it that way. Again, you get to a certain point in your walk, you start seeing certain things and noticing certain things. I have to keep certain things sacred too. There are certain things I will never tell you. There are certain things we have to find out on our own. They're just too unbelievable. You're just not going to believe me. And it would literally cause more harm than good. There are reasons certain things are kept on the down low, secret, mysterious. Not everybody is ready to have the same spiritual diet. Are you going to give a baby a T-bone steak? A normal baby with no teeth, just, what is it, going to gum it to death? I mean, you know, all things in their time. And I was very anti-secret, you know this. You know, I was like, no. I'm not saying to keep secrets from your spouse. And I understand Paul when he said he would rather that the apostles be like him, because as much as having a partner brings to your life in the positive, and it does and it should, it complicates your spiritual evolution, and that's really what matters here. You cannot be with someone who does not share your same values, and some of us have values that have changed, and I understand that too. That's not easy for anybody involved. I want this channel to be a soft place to land for everybody. Safe space. That's another word I think we started using in freaking came into the like stratosphere of reality. I know. So let's continue. Like the Maya, among whom the Hopi once lived and whom they later traded, the Hopi conceptualized the cycles of time as world ages. The Hopi believe that we have suffered from 3 previous world cataclysms. The first world was destroyed by fire, a comet, asteroid strike, or a number of volcanic eruptions. The second was destroyed by ice, a great ice age, as recorded by many cultures around the globe. A tremendous deluge, as recorded by many cultures around the globe, a tremendous deluge destroyed the third world, okay, which is in the Bible. Let's continue. These 3 global destructions were not the result of merely random earth changes or astrophysical phenomena, but, and it is so beautiful, and I do a short upload. It's a really good one. I hope you watch it. It's going to be very uplifting. I hope. I plan it that way. That's the intent. But it's really beautiful when someone is able to admit their flaws. I don't know why. I don't know what is so appealing about that to me. I guess it is just supreme honesty. That just, you don't care about looking non-masculine. You don't care about not being properly subjugated as a woman, and you know, you're speaking, God forbid you're speaking, opening your mouth. So it's beautiful when I see a human who is just honest and raw about their condition, and they have hope for the future still because they know they're not finished yet. That's kind of how I feel about us. These 3 global destructions were not the result of merely random earth changes or astrophysical phenomena, but of humankind's disregard, both for Mother Earth and for the spiritual dictates of the Creator. Hold, please, stronghold. Please don't run away if you're one of my Catholic or Christian amigos. Please. We have this knee-jerk reaction to just run off when somebody says something that we disagree with or we don't like. When truth is spoken, we should listen to it, no matter the source. The story, even Christ said he even said, look to the Father. It's not about me. It is beautiful. That person to me becomes more appealing to me because they're able to see their own condition, and they're able to look to something greater than themselves. If you can't do that, why continue? Why keep going on? Even if you think there is no higher authority than you, okay, well, if you're your own God, are you going to keep evolving and learning? I hope you do. I hope you do. Because it's going to be a really boring existence if we keep going through these time loops. This is the 3rd time I'm going to be living through this, seeing the same news, seeing the same election. Like, I'm just, can we progress? Progress isn't always good, right? Can we evolve a little bit beyond these things we keep doing to each other? The the blame game. It's his fault. She did it. They did it. If we were worried about our own condition, there wouldn't be any war. There'd be no time for, I ain't got no time for that. Man, do you see me? I gotta work on me, man. I got stuff I gotta do. and I'm just trying to be real. That's all. In other words, cataclysmic events in the natural world are causally connected to collective transgressions or negative human actions. Sorry, I can't attribute for the typos as I'm reading. I apologize. Read that again. In other words, cataclysmic events in the natural world are causally connected to collective transgressions or negatives caused by human actions. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be very upset, very shocked that they are still on the earth and these things are happening. But I thought I was going to get taken up. Did Noah just get translated up with his family? Did they just poof Noah away? God gave Noah the means. He gave Noah the ark. God gave us Christ. Here, this is what he did. Do it. Follow him. Do what he said. Do as he said. I'm one of the young people. I can absolutely feel it. Been worried about people's ability to love and be a true friend. Looks and feels like communicating relationships are some big mystery to us. Dan Sandals, easier to get rid of true history if it's not written down. That is true. That's a good point too. And I've talked about that. I was kind of thinking though, along the lines of words have power, and when you write them down, depending on the writer, depending on who's actually doing the writing, is that why Christ didn't write? He knew anything he wrote would be powerful. God is already bound by natural. God creates natural law, right? God made natural law. Natural law stemmed from God. But would God actually ask man to write down a book that binds him and constricts his action? Or should we look at it as we are told that God always warns his people? And again, I'm fishing here, folks. I'm fishing. Got some younger people than me, and I'm trying to fish. So, please understand that. That's a very good point that our new younger, I don't know what generation you're of, I'm sorry, our new friend made. We have young people out there who are struggling because they were never taught how to build relationships. I feel bad because I had that issue with my children. It's not so much that I didn't want them to have relationships. It's that, number one, all I did was work. And work relationships are infamously work-related. Once you stop working at most places, you no longer talk to that person anymore. Now, that's not always true. I understand that. But most times, if you know a person before you work with them, then yes, you have that friend for years and years still. But a lot of people who work together, if you're somebody who changes fields, or, you, like me, you just kind of get to the point where you can't learn anything else and you can't be promoted anymore, or you can't be given raises anymore, you go somewhere else. So work relationships are inherently different. They're a whole nother animal, right? And sometimes there are things, especially nowadays, you're constricted at work. You can't be you at work. And that's the problem right there. That shows that money has become our God. We are allowing our free will to be manipulated every single day by our loved ones and by our friends and family, by our churches. And again, I'm here to point to Christ's message of sovereignty and natural laws of consent, and to the one who made them, who is, of course, the Creator, the Maker, our heavenly parentals. We need to teach our young people, we need to show them that we can admit when we are wrong, that we've made some mistakes, we are sorry, and it's time to maybe rebuild our foundations. Show them the right way to build a house. Show them the right way to build that foundation of stone. And I don't know how to build relationships. I was never taught. When you have one generation that's broken, it's a vicious cycle that continues. If you don't know how to be a mother, how are you then going to be a mother to a child? And it goes on. And I'm a part of that cycle, so I know this cycle well. Used to be, they lived villages all together. Sometimes the women would sleep all together and the men would sleep all together, and you only really, you came together, you sometimes did certain chores side by side, and you would laugh, but women were tight and men were tight. And it took a village to raise every child that was there. It was not just that one person's child. And no, I'm not trying to be like the government and saying they're everyone's children. Again, you have people out here who are trying to demonize and make everything wicked. They want to earn their money. They want everything to be monetized. They have to feed their families. I get it. Everybody got game now, man. It's all game. It's all it's about. And I might use older language. I'm sorry. It, shows my age, whatever. But everybody got that game. Everybody can run game. But can you play at the game of life? Can you win at the game of life? Life is a video game. It does seem to be like a sandbox video game. However, I don't like to use that. I'm torn about that illustration when using it with young people because they don't understand what a parable or a metaphor is anymore. They don't understand parables. They think we're literally saying life is a video game. Life is not a video game, but it's like a video game. Okay? Life came first, by the way, so actually video games would be like life. Come see, come saw, but you see what I'm getting at. Unlike the Maya, the Hopi are rarely specific about the dates for the shifting of these ages. It has been said that the Maya were masters of time, whereas the Hopis are masters of space. Wow, huh? The verb tenses here are deliberate, given the Maya no longer follow the long count calendar of 394 year cycles. Instead, they now use Tzolk'in, in a calendar of 260 days, an amazingly complex system nonetheless. Huh, wonder where they learned that. Probably from the sky people. Are we reaching the end of the fourth world in Hopi prophecy? Living on their three primary mesas, the Hopi continue to perform a series of annual sacred rituals within their ceremonial cycle in order to keep not just themselves, but rather the whole world in balance. That's why I meditate now. This is why I want to do the group positive thinking prayer. If you're into that idea, please comment below any one of the videos, and I will set up a day and a time. But don't commit to it if you're not going to do it. It takes so little to pray. It takes so little to devote 15 minutes of your day to praying something good in the world, to praying, bringing positive, using your words with the most power you can, right? Putting the most power you've got behind some real noble intentions for your species. Okay, so we're gonna zip through this. We're not gonna look at that because I just don't want this to be too not friendly. So here's a quote. We have teachings and prophecies informing us that we must be alert for the signs and omens which will come about to give us courage and strength to stand on our beliefs. What have I been saying since the advent of my channels? I can't leave where I'm at as much as I want to until God tells me to. God told me to stand firm in faith. Not just spiritually, but physically. I am to stand firm on Terra Mesa in faith, in truth. And we are to have a spirit that thirsts for justice. We are to forgive our enemies. We are to love our enemies. We are to pray for them. It is hard. Oh my gosh, is it hard? My biggest problem is my mouth. I see my spouse as an enemy at this point. It's very hard not to after somebody has bludgeoned you. Like, hello? I don't know what else to say about that. But if I can still be in this situation, what did I tell you at the beginning of reading this link? A lot of people think there's only two options or they have no options, right? You always have a choice. We're told that fight or flight dictates that you'll either flee your oppressor and abuser or you will fight them. Out of instinct. It's a natural instinct, and I'm going to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. There's another option. I have peacefully resisted, and I stood firm in my beliefs and my faith. It's not always one or the other. BYA, not really into praying for the enemy. I don't know what BWA means, by the way. Or is that by the way? Let me say this. If you don't want to pray for your enemies, prayer can be perfunctory as well. What does that mean? We've gone over perfunctory psalms. I pray daily for my enemies, that they get the spiritual blessing of a contrite heart and that they run to God and repent. That's what I pray for them. You know what I'm saying? BYA is just like, oh, it's like an air sound. It's easy to love your friends. Even evil people do that. It takes a good person to love your enemy. And it's hard. Like it's not hard for me to love them. It's hard for me to pray for them. I love them. I love God's creations, all of them. Because I love God. Like, that's not hard for me. It's the actual prayer part. So I do perfunctory prayer. If I'm having a hard time praying good things for people that have harmed me, I ask that God give them a contrite heart. And I ask that God gives them a heart of repentance. And I ask that God brings justice to them. That's how I pray for my enemies, sometimes when it's hard. I pray that God brings them justice. You're still praying for your enemy. You're still including them in a prayer. Because those are all, they all produce good spiritual fruit too, though. I have a hard time praying for myself. It seems vain. Yeah, I was like that at first. I pray for myself now only because I don't know if anyone else is. But I don't pray for it like God give me wisdom this day, you know. God give me grace this day. Help me to, I feel like the prayers that I pray for myself are a little less, they are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're to benefit those I interact with, you know what I mean? God give me a patient heart, you know. I pray for the fruits of love, the fruits of the Spirit. I don't really pray for, I ask for God to like protect my finances because I've had some real hard hits come at me when it comes to finances. But yeah, I agree. It is hard to pray for yourself sometimes. So I'll ask you then. You can pray for me and I'll pray for you. Let me know what you need, what your need is, and I will pray for you. It's the least I can do. We have teachings and prophecies informing us that we must be alert for the signs and omens which will come about to give us courage and strength. He's saying that these signs and omens are going to give us courage and strength to stand on our beliefs. Blood will flow. I found this very interesting. Our hair and clothing will be scattered upon the earth. Meaning, number one, your belongings, right? Everything's just going to be scattered all across the earth. Something cataclysmic will occur. But your hair, that's interesting. That's another sign of radiation poisoning. Nature will speak to us with its mighty breath of wind, tornadoes. There will be hurricanes too. There will be earthquakes and floods causing great disasters, changes in the seasons and in the weather, disappearance of wildlife and famine in different forms. There will be gradual corruption and confusion. Oh, that's interesting. Hold, please. There will be gradual corruption and confusion among the leaders, and the people all over the world in wars will come about like powerful winds. All of this has been planned from the beginning of creation. Hold, please, before we begin this next part. I didn't want this to be this long. I apologize, but this part is very important. I was only going to include this part in the shorter video, but I'm glad some of you guys are here to see it. Our other friend just said, and I think, was it Davis? Davison is, I'm just going to call you D. I don't know if it was D or the other friend we have, but he said that the Hopi used hair for weaving and like their potteries and stuff, like their little woven pots and stuff. My name is Austin. That's right, Austin. Well, not everybody likes to share their real name either, so Austin. Thank you. Names I'm bad with. They change a lot. Oh, God. I'm sorry. That's my spring water. I apologize. And talk about some bad ASMR, right? My lips are chapped because I've been playing the flute again, and I've been having some spring water around it, but the bottles are noisy. Okay. So he said that they used their hair to weave things too. So again, another sign that possessions will be scattered to the winds, right? Maybe we'll all be equalized in some type of way. So I'm so glad that we have awesome people like that, like Austin here with us. I have some of the most knowledgeable. We have a very diverse group of people who bring us knowledge bits from every paradigm, and we are blessed for it. Thank you for sharing that, Austin. So this is what's important. I'm going to try and shorten this. There are two paths on Prophecy Rock. There's this rock, right? They call it Prophecy Rock. There's this diagram. There is a couple of stick figures and a couple of paths, okay? So I brought you up to speed. Another spiritual elder from the same Third Mesa village, David, who may have lived even longer than Grandfather Dan had warned. When earthquakes, floods, hailstorms, drought, and famine will be the life of every day, the time will have then come for either the return to the true path or going the zigzag way. Okay? I am going to end this here, I think. But, oh no, we're gonna do this. Okay. So the zigzag way refers to a line found on Prophecy Rock. This is good for you young people, if there's any of you gamers still around. Pay attention. And me too. Somebody who's just a little too into technology, even if it's just your favorite device. The zigzag way refers to a line found on Prophecy Rock, a panel of ancestral Hopi petroglyphs, rock carvings in northern Arizona. The zigzag is the upper of two parallel lines. It supposedly represents the path of the two hearts, who are wreaking havoc on our Mother Earth and living contrary to ecological principles and the laws of nature. And if you're a Catholic Christian, or you're under the paradigm of Christ, remember that we are to do unto others. Christ never told us to do crap to the earth, man. Some Christians some people who call themselves Christians tell you that it's earth worship if you recycle, that you are worshiping Gaia, Mother Earth, that you are worshiping her if you take care of her. Let me be very clear. Adam and Eve were the first caretakers of the realm. That was their job. That was their quote-unquote work. Work wasn't a place they went to in a car in a dirty city to make paper to pay for things in stores that grows on trees outside. That is a real simple and based definition of our society. And like I said, right now everyone's a caricature of themselves. And I don't think Elon Musk is even real. I don't. I think the elitists, the rich people, use those people like avatars. Would you want to be recognized if you were a king or queen of genocide? Would you want to be recognized would you want to be able to go and do things freely and travel freely with your family and be recognized by paparazzi and have your picture taken and all this, that, and the other? No. Elon Musk is Bruce Wayne, and Jordan Peterson, if you guys figured out who he is yet, as much as I admire some of his work, you guys know who he is yet? Have you seen his avatar or his YouTube picture yet? He's wearing, and he wears, must be his favorite suit, because he wears it like he's a cartoon character, like he's Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Man, he wears the two-tone suit. So do you know who he is? Go look at Batman and go look who dresses like that. And that's who Jordan Peterson is. Right now we're in Gotham. Yep, there you go. Two-Face. So, where was I? Sorry about that. The zigzag is the upper of two parallel lines. It supposedly represents the path of two hearts who are wreaking havoc on our Mother Earth and living contrary to ecological principles and the laws of nature. Remember, God made those laws. Just because the Bible says God will make a new earth, does that mean you trash this one? Would you be that disrespectful? I can't believe I hear, but again, these people who call themselves Christ followers, they don't know Christ if they're doing things like this. It's not worshiping the earth to take care of it. I mean, maybe it is, but God never told us not to do that. We're told to take care of the earth. We have dominion over all the creeping things on the earth, all the fishes in the sea, even the birds, some of the birds in the air. This is our realm. This is what I keep telling you guys. We are sovereign, and we have to learn to stand peacefully, resist, and say, I do not consent. I am not taking this anymore. I am not doing it. You know how difficult it is to hold true to a few of the principles that I have, even in a place where I pay to live? I'm not going to be used anymore, physically or mentally or financially, if I can help it. And so I've had to learn to say no. most of us, we were taught, it was spanked right out of us. The upper path is divorced from the natural world and totally immersed in the synthetic. You have a blessed day as well. Manufactured reality of iPhones and Xbox 360s. In essence, it is a lifestyle that the Hopi call Koyaanisqatsi. Koyaanisqatsi, which means world out of balance or life of moral corruption and turmoil regarding a group. So here's the diagram. It's actually etched in the rock, but they made it into a cartoon so you could see it. The lower way, rooted in earth-based rhythms, finds solace and spiritual sustenance from corn pollen, sunlight, soaking rains, and vast desert vistas, a life in accordance with the Creator or the Great Spirit. I'm going to end this here. I will include a link. I don't always do that. Please remind me if you don't see it in the comment section. I'll pin it down there if you want to look into this further. But I think that is a beautiful way to end this. Nobody wants to hear it. I don't want to hear. Nobody wants to divorce themselves of, they say, well, I was raised this way. It's too hard. I don't know how to live any other way. You can go with, the whole point is we need to learn to be uncomfortable. These are our choices. And I think at this point, these cataclysms, these things are going to happen. At this point, it's just how close to them are you going to be? I was really debating if I should get a laptop or not, but I don't even know if I want to bring one around. Like, I don't know if there's a point. And I'm praying on it. I need to see how I'm led. So I'm not telling any of you what to do, okay? But I'm just offering to you that there's always a choice no matter what. And that all of these things, Terrence McKenna, Timewave Zero, biblical revelations and prophecy, and even Native American Indians are all in accordance that something is going to happen, and it's a result of our own behavior. I say this all the time. If you have a car or a computer that has a problem, the first thing you do is troubleshoot and you diagnose it, diagnostics. Once you diagnose the problem, then you can fix it. We're living out of accordance. We're out of balance. Now we need to work on solutions. Who is ready to work on solutions? Who wants to be a part of the solution? Who's okay being a part of the problem? Because I have a feeling these devices being in our homes like this makes us closer physically to these cataclysms that are going to occur. I truly believe that. I think we need to be very careful as we move ahead and as we live our everyday lives. Think about everything you do, how you treat the animals. And I'm reminding myself as well. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. I'm going to do a short, really encouraging video. It's going to be an upload. I hope you guys watch for it. More soon.